CS442 Week 5, my ability to green screen just keeps getting worse. Green screen glasses, green screen eyes, green screen... It's all gone. I don't know how to green screen. Let's take a look at the schedule. Here we are, Week 5. That means Exam 1 is happening now. The exam is from January 31st, which is formally part of Week 4, hence why it's listed there, up to February 3rd. That means hopefully you're already doing it or have already done it. If you're not, you've got a very limited window of time. Remember, this is noon to noon, so February 3rd at noon, exam closes. Make sure you get it done. Right now, Module 5. Module 5 is on functional programming. You have seen many functional languages, but we're really going to drill down on what it is that makes a functional language functional. That's the point. Our exemplar for functional languages is Haskell. If you have used Haskell, great. If you haven't used Haskell, even better. But Haskell is a functional language, obviously. Haskell is a quite unusual programming language by any measure. It is a lazy, pure functional language. Most functional languages give at least a little bit of ground to practicality. Haskell, practicality is for losers. But as you'll see very, very late in Module 5, it still manages to give you all the power you would expect from any programming language through the magical power of monads. Anyway, don't need to get to monads yet. At the beginning, basically, we're talking about what makes a functional language tick. Now, how much do I mean when I say half of the module? As it turns out, that actually matters. Students have asked exactly what is on each exam. Basically, each exam can cover up to whatever was covered the previous week. So that means Exam 2 can cover up to the first half of Module 5, and thus it matters. So what's the first half? Up to and including Section 10, not including Section 11, which is type inference. So that's up to and including System F, not including type inference. Those terms will be meaningless to you until you get to there, but Section 11 is the boundary. Section 11 is the second half. Section 10 is the first half. That only matters for what's on the exam. Obviously, you can read at whatever pace you want to. Now, the last important thing to note on the schedule is, of course, that here, February 7th, is when we are back in person, thank goodness. Now, that does mean that we've essentially missed 4.5 weeks of in-person stuff, and our instructions is basically just to dive right in wherever we are. I don't think that'll be the best for anybody, so that's not my plan. My plan on the first day of in-person instruction is to talk about OCaml and Smalltalk. Basically, we didn't really get a chance to introduce those languages correctly. You just have a module on them, and we need that time. So I'm going to try to spend that first day talking about Smalltalk and OCaml. That'll still be a pretty stunted discussion because we just don't have the time. And then Module 5 will be the next week. That means we also won't really have enough time for Module 5. I mean, make sure you read the text. What can I say? Make sure you read the text. But that's, that's how we're going to attempt to catch up here. Now, something else to note, unfortunately, the room we've been assigned to, RCH 309, is not one of their digital teaching rooms, so there's no webcam. What that means is that while I can record in that I can just record whatever is on my laptop and I can record my voice, if I use the whiteboard, I can't record that. We're kind of nearly at the point in the term where it's not always a board course. I will be, looking at actual language examples, looking at code. So maybe we can make something work. But basically we're a bit stuck. I can't really provide a recording of anything I write on the board because there's no camera. There's nothing with which to record it. And it's a bit complicated. Like, I can't just ad hoc set up a camera because they actually have to be very careful about like the positioning of the camera because students haven't given release to be in the recordings. So if I just sort of throw a camera into the middle of the room and now I'm getting students' heads, and technically that's a violation of privacy. So we don't really have the option of just sort of ad hocing it, and unfortunately we're not in a room with a camera. I will be recording what's on the laptop. We'll see what we can do with that, but basically I can make no promises about recordings of the lecture because we just don't have the infrastructure to do it in this room. So I will make the attempt, but just don't think that that's going to be very successful. Don't think that just watching the videos is going to be sufficient. That being said, as I have asserted since the beginning of the term, all of the course content is in the notes. All of the assignments and exams are online. So the in-person experience is to go into further depth. I think that further depth will be very useful. But in terms of strictly what is necessary for the learning in this course, it is all in materials that are available online. In theory, this is the last weekly update video I'm making because next week I'll be in person. You'll see my face, the real one. Well, almost the real one, hidden by a mask. So this is the last just video update we need to do. I will see. Do want to mention, so I did that poll on returning to campus. Basically, because the only people who talk to us before the beginning, or before being back on campus, is people saying, I can't get to campus, there's this impression from our side that, like, well, I'm going to go there and just be in an empty room. Luckily, that's not the case. I see that, admittedly, only about 50% of respondents said they plan to attend, but that's 50%. That's a hell of a lot more than zero. So that, the part of that was just to get that impression. Again, I have no actual control over anything. We're going to steamroll right ahead, but it's good to know that it maybe won't be an empty room, although it still is 8:30 in the morning, so I guess we'll see. Anyway, next week, back to actual teaching, thank goodness, so I will see you then.